let's get going then. Good morning, and welcome to the February meeting of the Local Planning Agency for Pinellas County, Florida. Today's public hearing by the Local Planning Agency, or LPA, is being held to review zoning requests, land use plan amendment requests, and other items relative to the county's planning and growth management program. The Local Planning Agency is an independent advisory board charged with reviewing and making recommendation to the Pinellas County Board of County Commissioners on cases to be heard today. The Board of County Commissioners will make the final decision on each case at a separate public hearing currently scheduled to be held on March the 26th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Any cases needing 2 hearings will be announced. The procedure for today will be as follows. Staff will make a brief presentation not to exceed 20 minutes. The applicant will make their case, again, not to exceed 20 minutes. We will then hear from proponents who will have 3 minutes each, unless representing a group of 5 or more, in which case they'll be given 10 minutes. The non-speakers must be present and waive their time in order to get the 10 minutes. We'll then hear from opponents who, like the proponents, will be given 3 minutes each, unless representing a group of 5 or more, in which case they will also be given 10 minutes to speak. Again, non-speakers must be present and waive their time. Then we will hear from the applicant. The applicant will be given an opportunity to close, answer questions, or respond to any concerns by the opponents or proponents for a period of time not to exceed 5 minutes. Before your presentation, please give your name and address for the record. All testimony needs to be under oath, so if you have not been sworn in already and you plan to testify, please rise now and be sworn. And I see we do have some people that are stepping in as well. Madam Clerk.
Everyone will raise their right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Also, please fill out the slip on the table and present it to the clerk before you speak. There will not be continuing rebuttal, so please try to present all information and concerns while you're at the podium. If you plan to provide letters, written comments, studies, or other documents in response to the LPA's findings and recommendations, those must be received in the Planning Department 15 days prior to the Board of County Commissioners meeting in order to be included with the record that will be transmitted to the Board of County Commissioners. As a special note, the Board of County Commissioner hearings will now be held at 333 Chestnut Street in the Palm Room until further notice. And with that, we will move into the agenda. All right. So, next item would be the quasi-judicial statement. Do you want to handle that, Mr. McAteer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The zoning matters heard by the local planning agency are quasi-judicial in nature. Please note that only competent, substantial, fact-based testimony or evidence may be considered by the board in deciding those matters before it. Pure speculation or opinion not based on competent facts cannot be legally considered by the board. Lay testimony with fact-based support, including but not limited to meeting minutes, surveys, engineering reports, etc., may be considered competent and substantial evidence. Thank you.
All right. We'll now move on to item 3 of the agenda, approval of minutes for December 13th, 2023 LPA meeting. Board members, do I have any discussion on item 3? All right.
Approval of the minutes.
Moved by Cueva.
Second.
Second by Laurie Johnson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously. All right, we'll move on to item 4A1, and this is ZON 23-10, an application brought by Storage at Anclote LLC. Staff, you may proceed when ready.
Good morning. This is KZON 2310. And let's see if this is working for me today.
Before we get too far in, actually, can everybody hear our speaker?
Not well.
Hello?
Pretty soft.
All right, there, we turned it up. All right, wonderful.
Okay.
All right, so our subject property is approximately 3/10 of an acre, 0.37 acres to be exact, located at the northeast corner of Anclote Road and North Bend Drive in unincorporated Tarpon Springs. The zoning atlas map request to change the zoning is from residential agriculture to E1. The future land use, there is no proposed change. And the existing use on the property is vacant with the proposed use of boat storage. Here's a nice aerial depicting the surrounding uses along nearby and adjacent to the subject property. To our north and west, we have some warehouses and an office park. A portion of that is undeveloped. To our south, we have two marinas, Port Tarpon Marina and Anclote Harbor. And to our east, we have some boat trailer storage along with an industrial warehouse use. Here's a depiction of our zoning atlas map. You can see the subject site is highlighted there in red. The designation is residential agriculture, and the proposed change is to E1, that light gray. And just to kind of back up, you can see that our subject property is surrounded, that white area around it, that's Tarpon Springs jurisdiction, so there isn't a zoning that we have on the map shown because that would be for Tarpon Springs jurisdiction to manage. Here's a snapshot of the subject property looking north from Anclote Road. To our north, there's our warehouse office park that we discussed, and to the south, there's the High and Dry Marina. As noted, the site is vacant. The existing RA zoning does not allow non-residential uses and requires a minimum lot size of 2 acres, which the site does not have. The proposed zoning amendment to E1 would allow the outdoor storage and other non-residential uses that are considered to be consistent with the E future land use category. The proposed change to E allows for a broader range of uses, and it would be consistent with the surrounding non-residential uses on Anclote and North River Bend Road. The future land use would remain the same, which is E, and that allows for a range of outdoor storage and other non-residential uses with a maximum floor area of 0.65 with an impervious surface of 0.85. The proposed zoning atlas change, staff feels that it is consistent with the surrounding area. It has a wide range of uses that support the proposed use and the zoning. The existing employment FLUM category supports the proposed use, and the proposed zoning change is consistent with our comp plan. So we are recommending approval, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys might have.
All right, thank you. Board members, do you have any questions for staff?
I do.
Rava?
Brian, what's the notification process or limitations on notifying adjacent property owners? Do you do it still as a courtesy or?
In this particular case, I believe, Michael, what is it, 300 feet?
Where the minimum required is 250. It's not a courtesy, it's required. So we're required to do mail notice, sign posting, and newspaper advertisement.
There was no response to?
We did have someone in the neighborhood, catty corner, if I can just back it up here, the neighborhood just to the north, you might be able to see that little subdivision there to our east. We had a member contact me the other day, but he didn't have any problems with it.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, any other questions for staff?
Yes, you mentioned that the adjacent property is Tarpon Springs. Do you know what the zoning is on the Tarpon Springs area, even though it's not county?
To the north?
Yes, to the
Yeah,
north.
to the immediate, it's an industrial.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
All right, any other questions for staff? All right, thank you very much. Is the applicant here?
The applicant is actually trying to get online. He's been trying to get into the Zoom meeting, but he can't get in. So I've been trying to work on that behind the scenes while the presentation was going on. So I just sent him over the link again, so hopefully he will be on momentarily.
Got it. All
Sorry.
right. So, I hate to do this, but I suspect we could recess for like 5 minutes to help with the technical issue.
You've got that, certainly, you have that option. You also have the option if the matter needed to be recessed towards, if they have longer problems, we can recess and then pick the matter up at the end of the meeting. because it's noticed for today and
Yeah.
still properly noticed. So you've got a couple of options.
We have any contact with, and you are in contact with the
I'm
applicant?
emailing him, yeah, while you guys have been deliberating, yeah, I've been trying to send him the link, so, yeah, he's been trying to get in.
Okay. Does the applicant have any, would you please check with the applicant to see if they'd have any objection to us moving this matter to the end of our agenda, so that way they'd have a chance to,
Sure, yep. He's received the link and it's downloading, there is an update.
oh, okay, so we think this will be done in like a couple of minutes then.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I'll email him.
Board members, would you all be opposed to a 5-minute recess to help the applicant out here? Okay. Motion to recess.
Thank you.
All right. All right, so you're currently in agenda item 4A1, that's CON 23-10, an application by Storage at Aunt Claude LLC. The applicant is having a hard time participating, is having problems participating via Zoom, is requested that they be moved to the end of today's agenda. So with that, unless the board members have any discussion or questions, I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda.
I move that we amend the agenda to move case number ZON 23-10 to the end of today's agenda and proceed with the other agenda items.
Motion by Laurie Johnson.
Second.
Second by Cooley. All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. And the motion passes unanimously. That brings us to 4A2. And then it's my understanding that items A2 and 3 will be heard together. Is that correct, Mr. McAteer?
Yes, they'll be heard together, but you'll have separate votes, one on the future land use, and depending on how that goes, then one on the zoning.
Excellent. And staff is here. Is the applicant here? All right. And are we abiding by the normal time periods for a single presentation?
I
So
won't
20
need that long, Madam Chair.
Okay. And staff, you're on the same page with, I'm sorry, not staff, applicant, you're on the same page with staff?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
All right. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Scott Swearingen, Long Range Planning Manager with the county. It's a pleasure to be before you to start the new year with you right now, although it's in February, and I appreciate your time, and I'll be respectful of it there, too. The cases before you that I'll be presenting are FLU 23-06 in Z.
One moment.
Yes.
Are we all able to hear Mr. Swearingen?
Can you turn it up a little bit, or?
Do we turn up? I can try and speak louder. I'll do that.
Okay.
How about that?
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. I apologize for that. So FLU 23-06 and ZON 23-07. And again, these are separate cases, but they're related because one is a future land use map amendment and the other is a zoning amendment, but it's the same subject property that's in play here. And that subject property is 3.7 acres. It's on the east side of US 19 in unincorporated Clearwater. The future land use map amendment portion of this is a 1.7 acre request for change, and the zoning atlas amendment is the entire subject property of 3.7 acres. The FLU 2306 for the future land use map amendment is from preservation and residential low to residential office and retail. And then the zoning atlas portion, which is the entire subject property, is from RMH, which is our residential mobile home, manufactured home district, and commercial parkway to be entirely commercial parkway, however, with a conditional overlay that would ride with the zoning on this property. And that conditional overlay proposed by the applicant would limit the types of uses that could be built on this property. It would increase the buffering from adjacent property owners. And it would also have building height limitations as well. That would be a condition of that zoning that would ride with the zoning on the subject property. This is Cycle Springs, the existing use, a motorcycle watercraft retail store. There's outdoor display storage as well, some vacant areas of the property. There's a mobile home on one of the parcels as well. And then the proposed use is a new sales building, service center, rearrangement and improvement of a parking lot, access, those kinds of things, inventory storage, stormwater improvements as well, and new driveways and circulation, like I said, with access and whatnot. So I'm gonna start to unpack this a little bit. The subject property, you can see US 19 on the left side of the slide. 297th Avenue North will be that north border of the subject property. You can see Northside Drive about 300 feet to the south, and through which bifurcates the subject property is a private road, which is Highland Acres Drive. And I'll show you a couple photographs so you'll be able to see that a little more clearly. But that is the subject property, and you can see, this is US 19, this is North County. So commercial parkway is eloquently put. Commercial retail uses primarily, with some office uses mostly along US 19 in this area. The map on your left is the current future land use map, and on your right is the proposed future land use map. And I apologize for the size of the subject property within there. I did want to give you some, a sense of the character along the corridor, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in just a second. But so again, this is the majority of the subject property, a little more than half probably. It's residential, office, retail. It's that purple shade, and you can see that's kind of the primary designation up and down US 19 in this area. And then, I'll get to this in a second. So then the proposal would be to take that entire property and have it kind of nice and neat, kind of cohesively under that ROR, residential office retail designation. So instead of having these multiple designations, it would put it under one designation. So it would be kind of a cleanup in the land use, if you will, to some regard. One thing I'll note, if you look up and down the corridor, again, you'll see that sort of residential office retail is primarily along the corridor. There's also some residential office general. It's that deeper purple shade that you'll see up there along there as well. And I wish I had my pointer. But so if you look and I'll actually go to, if I could use the overhead for just a moment, please. Okay. So one thing that I would point out to you is one thing that we consider when we're looking at any kind of changes along US 19 is kind of like what is the predominant depth, what's the average depth of the land uses along US 19, because that land use and the zoning respectively are intended to be kind of a transition off of US 19 busy highway into the residential neighborhoods. But we want to understand a little better is what is the depth of the land use and the zoning along the corridor when we're looking at instances where we might push that a little to the east or west either way. And so what you can see, hopefully, is so we have about kind of going to the north, we have depths of up to 1,250 feet, so just under a quarter of a mile in depth of that either ROR or ROG designation. As shallow as 200 feet, which currently the subject property has a depth of about 200 feet for that designation, 250, 500. One thing I'll note is just to the south where you see in white, that is Clearwater. Before it was annexed, The property just adjacent directly to the south was residential office general. And just on the other side of Northside Drive, when it was in the county, it was commercial general, which is one of our heavier commercial retail designations. And these had lot depths of 500 feet respectively in this area. And then where you see the white across the street on the west side of US 19, prior to annexation by the city of Dunedin, we had ROR and ROG respectively, and those depths were about 300 feet. So anywhere from 200 to 1,250 feet has been kind of the depth of these categories along that corridor. Thank you very much. We go back to the presentation, please. Okay. So let me go to the zoning. And so the zoning is very much going to mimic that land use in this area. ROR, ROG are the predominant land uses. And then the zoning almost kind of, line by line of parcels comes up to be a CP, which is Commercial Parkway, a zoning that was very much intentionally, it was intended for corridors like US 19, like US Highway 19. And so you'll see a lot of that same, breakdown and characteristics. So in this case, we have, just about half of the property that is commercial parkway at this time, and then there's RMH as well in there. And so it would be to take the entire property and put it under commercial parkway CO, which is conditional overlay. So that's the one that has the extra parameters. It kind of sort of like shrinks that envelope of possibilities on the property. It's intended to be more of a protection for neighboring properties. So photos of the area and of the property. On the left, you'll see the primary building for the subject property, the Cycle Springs building. This is looking southeast on the northwest corner of the subject property. So US 19 is on the east side or on the right side of your photo, and then you have that crossroad that intersects there just to the north, looking to the east. Sorry, I'm speaking left, right, east, west. It's a little bit confusing. On the right photo is the building that is, so again, along US 19, and that one sort of on the roadway on the left side of the photo is looking eastward, and that is that the Highland Acres Drive, that private drive that kind of bisects the property right there. And so we have so on the left side of the photo, we have 297th Avenue North looking westward. This is again is a north, along the north boundary property. You can see that where that white fence is currently where the subject property ends in that location at the north. And then the photo on your right is the Highland Acres Drive. You can see the subject properties as kind of on the left side of the road, or the north side of the road, if you will. The current RL residential low land use designation allows residential, institutional, transport utility, some ancillary non-residential in some cases, and recreation open space uses. Residential at a density up to 5 dwelling units per acre, and for non-residential uses a 0.4 floor area ratio, or FAR. The current P land use designation is pretty much for natural resources, areas of environmental significance. Now, important to note, and let me go back really quick to that land use map. So that area of preservation, and this was uncovered actually about 10 years ago in a different case that pertained to part of the subject property. This doesn't have those preservation features on it, those natural resource or preservation type features on the property. It's understood to reflect an 80s era master drainage plan that's no longer warranted at this time. These areas do not include wetlands or any environmental features. It was something that was mapped to, for a drainage plan that would go into place that hasn't come to fruition, and that was about 40 years ago, if you will, more or less. So all that to bring the overall proposed residential office retail ROR land use designation, and that allows a range of uses from residential, retail, commercial, office, personal services, some limited research development and limited manufacturing, like manufacturing light. 24 dwelling units per acre are permitted from the residential side, and up to a 0.55 FAR for non-residential uses. That is the land use proposal side. Okay, good. When it comes to the zoning, so the current RMH, that mobile manufactured home district zoning allows mobile home manufactured homes, mobile home parks, mobile home subdivisions, with a maximum height of 35 feet. And then there is, as I said, there is that current commercial parkway designation that's there right now, zoning designation. And you can read through the zoning ordinance. It kind of explains the intent. It's intended for busy arterial roadways like US Highway 19, and it allows a range of uses from single family, multiple family, retail, commercial, office, personal services, commercial business, research and development, very much like the land use does as well. And the maximum building height in this case is 75 feet along US 19. However, that is further restricted in the zoning to 45 feet if a building is within 50 feet of a residential district. So anything within 50 feet of a residential district by the CP zoning would be 45 feet. You get outside of 50 feet, you can go up to 75 feet. And then all this would be bundled into commercial parkway with conditional overlay zoning. And again, that conditional overlay further limits what can be developed on the property for allowable uses. For example, pretty much what's there today at the establishment: motor vehicle sales, recreation vehicle boat sales, vehicle storage, maintenance, repair. It establishes some enhanced perimeter buffering. And then the building height across the entire subject property would be limited to 45 feet. So if you're up against US 19 or wherever you're on the property, you'd be as low as 45 feet. So it would be no increase above that 45. That is the current proposal. There was a neighborhood meeting on February 1st, 2024. It was well attended, I believe, approximately 30 people. Not including the applicant's group or county staff. The applicant representatives, they presented a conceptual plan and described kind of what they're intending to do, what the improvements they're intending to do, and then there was attendee questions and responses between the applicant and the people who were there as well. And county staff also assisted as well with those, including Michael and Ryan, provided some assistance helping out some of the residents understand kind of what the proposal was and the limitations there too. Property owner notices were sent within 300 feet of the property, of the subject property. And this says 4 letters that were submitted. We've actually had 5 letters that were submitted. Most of the comments, the gist of the comments, were privacy concerns and encroachment concerns. So I'm going to wrap this up. With the future land use map amendment, FLU 23-06. So the proposed amendment from preservation and residential low to residential office and retail. So the property is located along US Highway 19. And this future land use map designation, I wouldn't say just as it's considered, but is intended as an appropriate transition between the highway and the residential to the east. It also recognizes the long-term use of the property and kind of, it helps to kind of clean things up from a land use standpoint, kind of puts in the cohesive one future land use map designation on the property, which will allow the site to be redeveloped in a more appropriate manner. Right now, there's a lot going on the property. And in order to actually, to do this redevelopment, to make these improvements, to improve the circulation and access and all those things, we need to have the land use in order, and the zoning as well, and I'll get to that in just a second. And staff finds consistent with the comprehensive plan. The development review committee recommended approval on this one. With regard to zoning, ZON 23-07, again along US 19, and that commercial parkway designation, is intended for this corridor and considered an appropriate transition between a highway and a residential to the east. And it's really kind of the conditional overlay, it does help to provide some greater protections. You can't do, you're not going to be able to come in and do light manufacturing or anything like that with this. It's going to kind of have to be within that box of what that site is today and has been for a long time now. And, again, cleaning up the zoning on this, getting it under one cohesive category with that conditional overlay will allow the property owner to do redevelopment. And they can speak to that on their own. I'm not going to speak to their redevelopment plans because it's really not a part of the future land use in the zoning. Staff finds consistent with the comprehensive plan as well, and the Development Review Committee recommended approval. There is a Board of County Commissioners, a public hearing scheduled for March 26th at 6 p.m. That concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, it'd be my pleasure to try and answer them.
All right. Board members, do you have any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
Lori
You
Johnson.
mentioned that the road that goes through this property is a private road. How will the redevelopment of this property change the access to that, on that private road to those residences?
A great question, and I anticipated that question. However, I would like to let the applicant speak to that, as that would be a part of their development plans. And their development plans aren't a part of your, they're not a part of your case, in this case. My understanding. So I would, I apologize, but I think you get a better answer from them,
Okay, thank you.
directly from them. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Quitman.
Thanks. Scott?
Yes, sir.
The floor area ratio to the property to the south, isn't that higher FAR than what's being proposed on this site?
Much higher.
Yeah.
It's actually higher than initially, so that property to the south was ROG, I believe, ROR or ROG, at the time when it was in the county. And today it is in Clearwater's mixed-use corridor, or is it multimodal corridor?
I think it's mixed-use corridor.
It's in their mixed-use corridor designation, which is a part of their overall US 19 plan. And I believe, I don't know what the FAR is, but I believe it's somewhere around 1.5. It's between 1 and 2, a 1.0 or a 2.0 FAR.
So this proposal is quite a bit less than what's existing to the south, then?
That's correct.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I have a
Alden.
question.
Yes, sir.
I think that I had read that with the perimeter buffering,
Yes, sir.
I thought I had read that there was a 6 foot buffer between that could be used to the fence from the applicant's side to the fence. And my question is, can that be increased? Being that there's no building, a lot of these things would be movable type objects, probably boats, and they would be higher than 6 feet or the height of a fence. And if that buffer was extended more in, it would change the angle from a visual or aesthetics from the residential side. And I'm just wondering if that's something how that gets addressed or could be addressed.
Yes, sir. That would be something that, so the applicant is the one who has proposed a conditional overlay, and so they have chosen the parameters of that conditional overlay. So the applicant would have to speak to that, whether or not they feel that that's something that they could do or they can't do, and any reason there too. I'd ask Mr. Schoderbach if my understanding is do I understand correctly that there are changes to the conditional overlay that may look a little bit different than what was initially proposed?
Correct. The applicant has, they're going to present, after the neighborhood meeting, they're going to bring forward some changes to their conditions that they're going to request as well. So to speak to adjacent to residential, so we require per code a 6 foot high fence, and they're going to include a buffer also with continuous hedge and trees as well. They could increase that, so that would be the minimum by the conditional overlay. That's when it gets into site plan design, some areas might need to be increased based on if they have to put in stormwater facilities, et cetera.
So I guess then the applicants would, I guess they have made some changes to the conditional overlay, that at least that they'd like to propose. We couldn't put in your packet because, we can't make that change
And
at this
I
time.
think he had mentioned 8 feet, and I thought I read 6. I'm just wondering where I might have.
6 foot fence,
Can you say that again?
6 foot tall fence?
Yes, and didn't you just say it might be 8?
No.
Okay,
It's a
I'm
6
sorry.
foot fence. They're proposing continuous hedge along that So they're proposing to have the fence on the property line, and in that 5-foot buffer, a continuous hedge and trees, which would help for that visual screening as well. And then that with the landscaping in there should would prevent vehicles are not allowed to be encroach into a landscape buffer.
And the boat is considered a vehicle?
Yes,
Okay.
so.
Thank you.
All right. Just to follow up on the vice chair's question, Mr. Schroederbach, does the conditional overlay as of this morning have any commitments as to tree species or opacity? Are we talking crepe myrtles? Are we talking live oaks? Are we talking 20% opacity?
No, in there they have install canopy trees, so that's canopy trees, 25 feet on center, 2-inch caliber minimum size at planting. So they're not accent trees, they're canopy trees. They're going to be larger species, but not species specific.
In our code, and correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, our code defines, what is a canopy tree, and in those definitions are, species are included that the county feels are appropriate for that type of a tree. So it would be within those confines.
All right. Board members, do you have any other questions for staff? All right. Thank you, and stay close. The applicant may now come up, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Good morning, Madam Chair, board members. Katie Cole with the law firm of Hill Ward Henderson, representing the applicant. We do have a PowerPoint. If it can come up, I can get started regardless. So representing
bring up the
Cycle
applicant's
Springs Power
PowerPoint?
Sports. Thank you. Cycle Springs Power Sports. And joined here today with Danny Bergen with PE with Civil on Demand, and John Verback with the Design Build, as well as the principals from Dimmitt Automotive, Scott Larget and Peter Dimmitt, who are the recent purchasers of this. So Cycle Springs has been in existence here. Cycle Springs existed generally as a business in our community for about 100 years and has been on this location for some time. Dimmitt purchased the dealership last year and seeks to make improvements to the dealership and frankly bring in conformance some of the existing operations that are there. Going to Mr. Cueva's question and kind of jumping right in, and I will, in the interest of time and based on the presentation, combine the zoning and land use, so when we speak of this. You'll see on the map is the countywide map, and you can see to the south is the City of Clearwater's US 19 district. This is a 1.5 FAR in this location. US 19 in the City of Clearwater varies between a 1.5 and a 2.5, depending on where you're located in the City of Clearwater along that corridor. So it was important when we were looking at this that we did not increase the depth of the request further than what's located there on the south. It's important to note that in 2016 and in 2020 there was a special exception approved. You all don't see these, the Development Review Committee does, but your code allows for parking on off-site residential parcels if it's contiguous to commercial. And so in 2016, the existing dealership sought that approval for inventory overflow and off-site parking. So even though this has a residential designation, it has been utilized. Much of this property, the residential property being sought to change now, has already been used for these uses. There's been multiple permits. I have had many a conversation with staff over the past 10 years on this site and how to bring it into conformance and fit those uses here. So again, not something that you all see as the LPA, but it is something that your DRC has seen in the past. As highlighted in the special exception approval, there's no enhanced buffer or setback requirements to the adjacent residential areas. The proposed amendments, as Mr. Swearigan went through, changes some of the preservation and some of the residential low overall to bring it all into compliance to the ROR land use, and it takes the CP zoning and applies it to all of the owner's property. It also is proposing a conditional overlay on the full 3 acres of the site, and we'll get into those details here. Mr. Swearingen's report references this, the staff report does, but here are some of these future land use goals and objectives, which specifically discuss the intensity of development along US 19, the commercial corridor, and the redevelopment goals that are associated with the US 19 corridor. This is just, I pulled the City of Clearwater zoning map knowing that the county maps don't show it, just so you can see what the zoning is. It's also interesting that there is medium density residential immediately behind the US 19 corridor there, so it is a much more intense area to the south. The Commercial Parkway District, as Mr. Swearingen spoke about, is specifically intended to provide land uses that are associated with the transportation corridor. As you can tell from US 19, car dealerships and automotive dealerships are certainly a predominant use along that corridor. I'd asked Mr. Bergen to come up, and we wanted to go through, while you're not approving a site plan today and you're not seeing a site plan today, we do have one that we're going to show you because I think it's important to see how these overlay conditions are reflected on the ground. So with that.
Good morning. Daniel Bergen, civil engineer, representing Divid Automotive Group, 15436 North Florida Avenue, Suite 101, Tampa, Florida. I'm really excited to be here today, opportunity to present these applications in front of you. Done multiple projects with Divid Automotive Group, and I'm excited to see what they're able to do now that they've taken ownership of this long-standing dealership. As part of these conditional overlays, we've provided some enhancements to the existing property and how it's going to be developed to the CP zoning. We've reduced the building height from an allowable 75 feet to a maximum 45 feet, which I think is very important to show that we're not going to be building something that is going to be out of character for the surrounding neighborhood and increase compatibility. We've also added a 5-foot building setback to all residential, so we have a required 15. We've increased that to 20. And then we've done some perimeter landscaping and buffering. The current site conditions, in most cases here, really have no buffering, no perimeter landscaping. There's nothing separating Commercial Parkway and the Cycle Springs use from the residential. So not only are we looking to agree with what's provided in the code, but we're going to add to that. So one of those items that we did was we said that we want to make sure that we have additional canopy trees. I know Madam Chair had mentioned that for questions earlier. So these will be spaced 20 feet on center. So basically the requirement is 3 trees per 100 linear feet. We're going to add another tree. You can't put too many canopy trees next to each other. So if you imagine every 25 feet, we would have a canopy tree that would be placed there along residential boundaries and perimeters. Obviously, we got the 6-foot opaque fence, which I think was a very nice buffer. And then, we had discussions with staff on how to place the landscaping. We would place the landscaping on the interior of the property this way to ensure that that landscape buffer would in fact act as a landscape buffer, so you wouldn't have any sort of encroachment from the back of a boat, a vehicle, or anything that would encroach into that buffer setback. Right? Now, again, these are minimum buffers that we'd have to. The site planning process is going to dictate, if those buffers get increased for things such as stormwater management, just general access, landscaping islands, circulation, and other things. But I will say, compared to the existing conditions, there is no separation between commercial and residential. These two just butt right up against each other. Here's some existing site photos, and I'll kind of walk you through them. You can see in front of the building from US 19 facing east, what we have is a myriad of different structures and tents that have been compiled and assembled over time. Looks more like a flea market than it does a power sports dealership, but this place is very popular, so they needed every ounce of, or every square inch they could gather. Working to the right, we have that private road that Ms. Johnson had asked about. That is Highlands Acres Drive. That is going to remain in its existing condition, or the access is going to remain. We're going to provide beautification on that, and I'll get to that in a moment, but that access is not going to change. So you can see we have sales to the left, service to the right. It's kind of right up against each other, really no separation between the ingress, egress, private drive, and the uses. Working our way back down to the northern portion of the site with 297th. We have parking that is essentially on-street parking on 297th. Again, no buffering, no pedestrian sidewalks, just asphalted all the way across 297th. Again, this is a site that has been in operation for some time, so some things were a little different back then. And then we have the rear storage lot, which Katie had mentioned, which you had the site exception that was approved previously in 2020 and prior to that, where there's inventory storage that goes on, which is basically just a vacant lot where they move in inventory in and out. Here's what we really want to talk through, and this is kind of the general concept plan for how we're going to redevelop Cycle Springs. So what we have here is, and I'll kind of walk you through the development, starting with a consolidation of the buildings and the parking areas. I think that's key. Right now, it is somewhat scattered and irregular or erratic. The Dimmits are wanting to make this more representative of how they operate their dealerships, which they've been in operation for 100 years. I'm sure y'all have seen them around, original Clearwater families. So they want this to be reflective of their products. So what you would see here is you would have consolidated parking and inventory storage areas that would be strategically located around site. We would have buildings that would be, instead of having a building with one elevation, a brick elevation, then a tent, and then a low-rise, looking pawn shop, you'd have something with common theme that would go along all the frontage. So there's a beautification that's associated with that. We would have the elimination of driveways onto US 19. So that is a focus of Pinellas County. Trust me, every time we permit something that has a driveway access onto an arterial road, they want to close that access and move it off of the arterial road. What we would be doing is allowing those circulation patterns to be in line with what the LDC requires. So there'd be a driveway closure there that accesses the dealership between 297th and Highland Acres. And that would allow for essentially a circulation pattern, which is what I want everyone to kind of notice. So we all understand that the US 19 corridor is being redeveloped. This will be a frontage road, similar to what you see to the south. And what would happen is, and would be intended, is traffic would circulate through 297th, off of 19, back through the dealership. Behind the dealership, there'd be a porte-cochere with a like a drop-off area for service vehicles, and then it would exit onto Highlands and then back out to US 19. That's how the circulation pattern goes. So all exiting traffic would have to go, because this would essentially be the circulation pattern, would have to go out to Highlands Drive and out to 19. So that's how it would queue up, and that's how it would circulate. It's going to be a very great improvement for just how the efficiency is going to operate, the efficiency of the operations for Cycle Springs. The other thing we're going to do for Highlands is we're going to align all the driveways so that there's direct perpendicular cross access, so it's linear. Instead of having it spread out over a long area, we're going to make these 2 location points where you can actually just directly cross Highlands, versus there being just a sea of asphalt where cars can just turn and come around there. So that's going to get consolidated. We're also going to do improvements to Highlands. We're going to widen it to 24 feet. We're going to increase the radiuses on the driveways. We're going to add landscaping and some setbacks there that are not required because it is a private drive, but that's going to be part of our beautification plan for Highlands. Another note to make is we're going to remove all on-street parking in public right-of-way. So that is a huge improvement in my opinion, especially on 297th, where there's currently just parking that turns right off of 297th in front of the dealership. Those will be removed. We'll have a standard driveway placed at the eastern portion of the site, as well as pedestrian connectivity to US 19 and the residential areas to the east. I hope I'm not talking too fast. Sorry, I'm trying to get through all of this. Around the perimeters, I didn't mention earlier, but we are going to be increasing from the existing condition, the perimeter landscape buffering and other items. So there's going to be a separation of commercial and residential uses that will be enhanced through the buffering. And real quick, I'm just going to talk through a couple of these renderings. You can kind of see here's the rendering from the front of the dealership. It's kind of an aerial view from US 19. You can kind of see how the general theme is going to look. Again, this is where the current buildings are, so we're looking to keep everything up on the right-of-way frontage where there is CP zoning. We have service to the right. Everything is facing interior to the site so that we're not putting bays that are actually pointing towards residential areas. And you can see the inventory lot in the back. There's one more view there behind it that kind of shows it looking the other way. You can see how we're trying to put the passive uses there towards the rear, so that's customer parking and inventory storage. And then lastly, here's just a couple more shots of, there's Highlands, I know you had mentioned, Ms. Johnson, Highlands Avenue, how that would look versus the existing condition. And then there's the rear of the property. And I'll turn it back over to Katie.
Thank you. If I can get the overhead. I know we wanted to walk through, while you're not approving a site plan and you can't, we think it's important because the intention of this request is to provide the space to allow for the most efficient operations. And the current special exception allows for a lot to happen on a small amount of property. And so this, while it does expand the zoning and land use, the proposed conditional overlay limits it. Specifically, the permitted uses by right in the CP are significant. This is limiting to only the 3 uses proposed. So by zoning code, if any other purchaser of the property or subsequent owner wanted to come back, they would need to come back before the county to change these uses. Building height, as Mr. Swearingen explained, was 75 feet tall, except for adjacent to residential. This would limit the entirety of the property to 45 feet. Setbacks, 15 feet to structures. This is adding 5 feet to allow, and this is a change from what was in your packet. This would be a 20-foot setback to structure. Required buffers, there is no required landscape buffer, to Mr. Cataldo's point. Here, while we didn't request a specific buffer, we are willing to add a condition of a specific landscape buffer here, so you have a combination of a required landscape buffer and the building setback to give that protection to the neighbors. So we think that based on the site plan, and candidly, there are some access restrictions of how to pull in. So it would be difficult to offer more than about 8 feet for a required landscape buffer, only because of one constraining point. But you know, that would be absolutely acceptable to the applicant to include that in the conditional overlay as a required buffer area of 8 feet, together with the 20-foot setback instead of the die code by 15. So with that, I'll reserve the balance of time for any rebuttal after. I know we have one of our neighbors who attended our neighborhood meeting here as well who would like to speak. So happy to answer any questions.
All right. Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I have a few questions.
Start with Crava.
Okay. And it's more of a site plan thing. I'm just wondering, what's the lighting situation going to be around the residential buffer?
It would comply with code, which your code does not allow any spillover light onto residential properties or away from the commercial property.
Are there masts?
I don't know that there's not been that extent of design yet done.
Probably low level.
Yeah. But it would comply with the county code, which specifically limits that spillover.
The service bays, what hours do they operate?
I'd have to ask Mr. Largen.
Forget
You can come up.
If you're going to address, please come up to the podium.
I was just supposed to be
Oh,
watching.
I know.
Thank you all for the time today.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
I'm Scott Largay. I'm the CEO of the Dimmitt Automotive Group, so thank you for your time and your service. So our service department's currently open from 8 a.m. until 5 p.m. We don't anticipate there being much of an extension past that, so.
Very good, thank you.
Question, Madam Chair. So,
Johnson?
Yes.
thank you for being here as well.
Thank you,
Is that 5 days a week, or does that include Saturdays or any weekend times?
So currently, we're open 5 days a week. In likelihood, we may look at 6 days a week at some point, but right now it's a 5-day-a-week operation.
And what about noise?
So we're going to do everything we can to contain. Right now, there currently is a service operation on this site. We don't anticipate any dramatic increase in noise based on what it is that we do. At the end of the day, marine repair is often different than automobile repair. You don't have all these loud wrenches and these types of things working. It's a little bit more finesse and isn't quite so frenetic, as I would call it. In the auto shop, you'd walk in and hear lots of stuff going off. But from a noise standpoint, we'll build whatever we need to do to make sure that that noise is within whatever limits we need to keep our noise in. So we really do intend to be great neighbors. It's important to us that, you know, one, we beautify the area, and secondly, we care a lot about, you know, the neighborhood liking us. We just celebrated our 100-year anniversary, and I would tell you, you'd be tasked to find folks, certainly our neighbors anyway, that wouldn't say that we are good neighbors. So we're not perfect, but we try awful hard.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Question.
All right.
You mentioned the request for the special exception that was done before. Do you know the intent of that request? Why was that requested?
It was specifically to expand the operations and utilize the residential parcels that the owner owned on to the east for business operations.
And for parking, for inventory
Inventory,
storage?
in both employee parking and inventory storage.
Okay. In the information we have, it really refers to overflow parking. So that's why I was asking.
I think it is a muddied water with respect to dealerships when it comes to what is overflow parking, but yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Well,
Thank you all.
thank you for your presentation. Stay nearby. And we will now hear from members of the public who wish to speak in support of this application, or of these two applications. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in support of applications FLU 23-06 and ZON 23-07? And I'm seeing none in the room. Do we have any online who wishes to speak in support of FLU 23-06 and ZON 23-07?
Good morning, Madam Chair. We only have one member of the community online, but it's the applicant from the first meeting and their own first item, and they're only here to speak for theirs.
Said. All right. Do we have anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition to applications FLU 23-06 or ZON 23-07? And I have a person who is wanting to speak in opposition. Please come up, state your name and address for the record before you give your presentation.
Good morning, Susan Farrell, 6988 297th Avenue North, Clearwater, Florida. Good morning, all of you. Thank you for your time. First of all, this is my home. This is a lot of people's homes. Lived there for over 20 years. Any of us have lived there even longer. I feel offended that they want to encroach our property where we raise our children. Close off a road that only access to people's homes. There is no through traffic on Highland Acres Drive. Single road coming in and out through their business. Then they want all the traffic that goes into their business to come through my street. I get what they want to do. I get it. They want to beautify everything. Excuse me, a little emotional. I get it. They want to beautify it. But however, how do they beautify something that we live in and we have to sit there and look at every day? People looking over the fence, their businesses. You know, we've had issues with them in the past. I get it. They just bought it. But it's always been a neighborhood, and we would like to keep it a neighborhood. We would like our kids to grow up there. I also own a lot next to the property that they want to change as well. So I am basically surrounded by this. I'm gonna have boats in my backyard. I have customers looking at those said boats, looking over their 6-foot fence. There's power lines there, so their trees are gonna get cut, as everybody knows. It's not somewhere I wanna live. I attended the meeting, voiced my opinion. I get it, they wanna do business. But there's plenty of commercial businesses and properties elsewhere that they don't need to encroach on residential lots. I'd like to build a home on that residential lot for my daughter to raise a family, but do I want to do it next to a boatyard? I'm not sure if any of you guys have seen a boatyard, but those boatyards are not quiet. Their machines do run, and they are open on Saturday because they're tracing their machines or their motorcycles and stuff through my backyard now. I wish and I hope that you take this into consideration for the rest of the residents in this neighborhood to deny this. We want to keep it a neighborhood, please. Thank you for your time.
All right, stay close real quick, just in case we have any questions. Board members, do you have any questions for our public speaker? All right. I do have a question for you, ma'am, if you could please come back up. You were saying that access was being closed off?
Well, they're blocking it. I mean,
Okay.
Highland Acres Drive or 297th.
Yeah. Which one are you seeing is closed off?
Both.
Okay.
Both. It's difficult to get into our street now. They want all the traffic to come into our street now. They have an entrance to their business off of 19 it's closed off. So they use our street. So all their trucks come down, deliver right on our street. And it's gonna continue that way because now they're gonna come in our street and then turn into their business. And then they're gonna drive through that business and come out on Highland Acres Drive, which is our street again. So they're not only using our street to come in, they're using my street to go out, and then their trucks are driving through, which is right there at my street, right there at my house. So they're gonna do a complete U all around me, coming in my house, all the way to the side of my house, and then out the exit of my lot in the back.
Okay. And you're saying that they're currently parking trucks on the street? Are these?
Yeah.
For?
That street's always blocked.
And are these like parts trucks that you're seeing? What are you seeing?
Delivery trucks,
Okay.
parking, customers bringing their boats in their trailers. They're blocking it. My neighbor has had their yard sprinklers broken many times from trucks turning around. They drive through our entire neighborhood to get out onto Curlew, or they bring their trucks from Oldsmar, turn off of Curlew into our neighborhood and go around and up 297th Avenue towards US 19 to deliver their stuff. Our neighborhood is becoming their driveways. They come in from every direction, off of Curlew, off of 19. They block our street on 19. I don't know how many times we've had accidents there. You pull in, try to get into your neighborhood, and there's trucks blocking the street. There's customers blocking the street.
Okay.
And Highland Acres Drive, they have
And
only one way in and one way out. There's no through traffic on Highland Acres Drive.
can we show, can somebody help me understand the exact location of our citizen's house? Can we show that on the map
Aerial
just
you
real
can
quick
put?
so I can visualize it? Okay,
Sorry.
you're good.
Molly created this map just before the meeting, but Mrs. Farrell's house, I do believe, is here,
Okay,
and
I-
that lot is.
I own the empty lot here,
okay,
and I also own the home here.
okay.
I believe it, yes. So my house offsets their property, and it also is right next to it.
Got it. I understand now. Thank
So
you.
they block this street here, and now they're gonna block this street here.
Okay.
With their businesses right, our street right in the middle of it. I'd like to build a property, a home on this property for my daughter. Now her driveway is now going to become their business.
Understood. All right. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
helping me understand.
Thank you.
All right. Board members, and before we bring the applicant back up for your rebuttal with your additional 3 minutes and 14, your additional 3+ minutes on top of it. Board members, do you have any questions for staff at the moment? Okay, I don't think I'm seeing any. All right, the applicant can come back up and we'll be adding the time reserved back in. So. I had to reset the timer on our speaker, so there we go.
Thank you. I would like you all to know that the dealership has heard the neighbors for sure, and it does not operate today and has not operated for the past 20 years the way the new owners would like it to operate. This, I want to, if I can put this on the board. This is Ms. Farrell's lot here and here. So you can see that she currently is adjacent to an unimproved parking area that has been utilized despite the fact that it has been owned and utilized. This red is the existing special exception that has allowed all of this to operate and spill over as the prior owners aggregated additional property. The goal is to take these 3 acres, and again, understanding that you're not approving site plan, so I don't want to confuse the fact, but this is the proposed site plan. And as you can see, the concerns that Ms. Farrell expressed are exactly the concerns of operating a business. There is insufficient space to navigate on site to bring trailers and park the structures. There is a limitation on ingress and egress to the site. This provides an improved Highland Acres Drive access here. Here's 297th here. Both remain open. Both then create an opportunity for internal circulation on the site to hopefully alleviate the concerns that are being discussed. We recognize that the neighbors have dealt with difficult situations over the past 20 years with this dealership. And the goal is, and our request of you today, is to allow this conditional overlay to move forward to allow for the new owners to provide an appropriate site plan with appropriate site circulation to hopefully alleviate those concerns. Just to be clear about the conditions that were proposed in the staff report and on yours, in addition to the conditions that the applicant previously proposed, the applicant would like to add the conditions of a 20-foot setback to structure, trees in the buffer 20 foot on center, 25 foot on center, sorry. Thank you for keeping me straight. And an 8-foot buffer adjacent to residential. And I just want to make the distinction between a setback to the structure, which would be a setback to buildings, versus an 8-foot buffer, which would mean no pavement, no buildings, no nothing. So, and we do think that from that would help certainly with Ms. Farrell's concerns with respect to the fence as well. So.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else to add at this time?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Board members, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes. One,
Okay. Ms. Cole, please come back up.
so by the map that you showed, the special exception area has, things have spilled beyond that and right adjacent to residential units, which was not the original design of that. What, I mean, I understand setbacks, the landscaping, the fence, but then, you know, we see pictures too of boats and people standing on boats. What kind of assurances can we give in your work that are going to help the residents not have to deal with that? I understand parking, and you park a car or a truck or, you know, back there. probably not going to see that with the fence, and as landscaping matures, that's going to be fine. But boats and other things right up against that landscaping while it's not mature are an issue.
If you would hold, please. The applicant would be happy to add a condition to limit inventory parking within, I have to be careful on this phrasing because it's residential in many places. So the rear 40 feet, I'm looking at drive aisles.
So I would say that abut the fence.
Right.
To where the neighbor is speaking of, we'll make that employee parking.
Yeah.
For automobiles rather than boats.
So it would be, you have a 15-foot setback here plus a 20-foot, so, you know, the rear 30 feet? Would that be, I'm just adding feet together.
Sounds better than what's there today, or at least how it's been used historically.
So it would limit inventory parking, the rear 30 feet. We'd have to figure out how to say that so it's not
Yeah.
all of
So-
the eastern 30 feet.
You have, I mean, it's clear that Dimmitt's a sophisticated applicant and has put a lot of time and energy into trying to make this balance. This seems like something where perhaps a developer's agreement would have been. Okay.
They agree to that.
Mr. McAteer, is this something that we can make, is this something that can work through?
I mean, you've kind of hit the nail on the head. When you get to this level of specificity, you're in
Yeah.
DA agreement land.
We're going to be making commitments as the site plan and stuff. I heard concerns from our neighbor about, or from our citizen about traffic patterns coming off 297, so I don't know if staff's considered right in, right out. Would that be right in? No, I'm sorry, a right in on 27 and right out on Highlands to force a circulation pattern. I know I've seen that down in St. Pete, but then again, that's stuff that normally happens in site plan review.
Yeah, that's
This
all
seems like a
getting into site plan detail, where would either, at this level, would require a development agreement to then lock in on a site plan, or conditions such as employee parking or inventory parking, that's something that can also be rendered on a site plan, through a site plan process, to label that separation, because we require that if you have any outdoor vehicle display, you show that you have to label where your inventory is versus where your customer display area is versus customer parking, employee parking. As for access and right-in, again, at this level, would have to go to a development agreement or a site plan.
Well, just to help keep our neighbor plugged in, citizen plugged in, how does staff normally handle, do we have anyone from site plan who could talk about how this is normally handled during review for a traffic circulation for a situation like this?
Sure, I can handle that.
Okay.
If this would come in for site plan review, it's, when submitted a site plan, we always ask for trip counts, which are what is currently the traffic versus what's proposed traffic. And based on those numbers, if they meet a threshold required by code, they could be required to do improvements, whether it warrants additional sidewalk improvements, bike lanes, bus stops, roadway improvements to the surrounding roadways, turning lanes, etc. US 19 is a DOT road currently under construction, so any access off of US 19 would be controlled by the FDOT. So they would be the ones who would permit or not permit driveway access directly onto US 19. The county would control the access permissions off of 297th.
Mm-hmm.
Highland Acres is a private road, it's a 30-foot ingress egress easement over that right-of-way for all the neighbors who live, including his business along there, so that's controlled by the private. County does not have control over that. But yes, circulation patterns, I mean, they would have to, if they're bringing in trucks, we look at truck turn templates. Fire department also would have to look at it as well. You know, they need to be able to bring their vehicles in and out of a site as needed, so there has to be requirements for turning radiuses that are all looked at the site plan level.
Madam Chair, if I may, and one of the things that we tried to be particularly thoughtful of is we recognized that at this point it is an existing business and they were dropping off products on the street for, you know, it was, as Katie clearly pointed out, it was designed in the 80s and that was an acceptable solution back in those days. But as we planned about this, our whole intent is to get everything off of these streets. So someone, certainly we have access to the roads just as the neighbors have access to the roads. As someone pulled in to drop something, they would no longer be encroaching into the neighborhood. It really, we tried to put as much thought as we could to making sure that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. And any of our businesses, that's something that's been at the front of mind for us in terms of planning. So our intent would be to get everything off of these roads, to not be clogging any, but no sprinklers to be run over, these types of ideas as we plan this site.
Understood. I picked up on that right away. So the only two things that are hanging out in my mind is visibility from our citizens, from the neighboring properties to the east, and then the concern that was raised about truck access over 297th. Getting back to our citizens' concern, is there a process where citizens can petition a local road to be named a non-truck route? Am I missing that?
That I don't know.
Okay.
Yep.
Can we look into that and perhaps get that with our citizen?
Yep. Yeah, I can check with our public works staff.
Okay. Mr. Cooley, you were the last one asking questions.
I just wanted to clarify also, because the comment was made that roads will be closed off. It sounded to me like you're closing off entrances to the property that might be there today to try and facilitate the traffic flow, but not the roads.
Correct. Yes, sir.
All right. So, all right. So I don't know if the applicants had time to think about this, but it sounds like your condition is something along the lines.
Certainly, to limit inventory parking, the rear 30 feet of lot 2442 is the address there. Michael, I'm looking at you.
Rear eastern.
I don't see it on this list.
Mr. McAteer, how far am I pushing you?
I need to review section 138-1202 real quick. That's what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
I think inventory parking is a defined use, so it would be appropriate to limit it in the conditional overlay.
And one other thing that might help, certainly with our neighbor, who is important to us and you all to understand, is we own warehouse space in Oldsmar, which is where the greater share of inventory is stored. At the end of the day, it is not our intent to bring all of our inventory to this location. The inventory will be stored in our Oldsmar location. The other thing that's going to happen is we're going to be now a building that's contiguous. And at the end of the day, much of the inventory will be inside of this building as opposed to sprinkled and littered all around this site, which was, really kind of a hodgepodge of pieces that have been put together. So I feel confident everyone's going to see it's going to be a great improvement.
So in 138-1202, development regulations imposed by a conditional overlay shall be limited to those which, and I'll skip the ones that don't apply, down to H, impose specific design criteria. So there is an umbrella provision in there that if you get specificity to your satisfaction from the applicant, you can utilize H. Of course, the tightest specificity is a DA.
Yeah.
I understand where we are in the process. So you can use this clause in 138-1202 as a doorway if you get the level of specificity that reaches your comfort level as a board.
Okay. Board members, any follow-up thoughts or questions? All right.
Thank you all very much.
So, I'd like to hear the conditions that are proposed one more time. Can we get a final statement, Ms.
Edie,
Cole?
can we get that?
Oh, sorry, you have another one?
No, I'm wanting to hear a final statement of what our conditions are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My board knows what they're
Yes,
doing.
ma'am. So in your board packet, there was a list by, thank you, I have my technical person behind me. This was here, so this is what the staff recommendation is based upon, was the original submittal. Subsequent to the neighborhood meeting and in discussion prior to the hearing, the applicant, and what you saw in our PowerPoint, was to add a 20-foot setback to structure
Okay.
from all residential parcels.
Okay.
Minimum 20-foot setback to structure from all residential parcels. This is along residential bounds, right?
25-foot
Foot.
on-centered canopy trees, 2-inch caliber.
Along residential parcels. An 8-foot buffer adjacent to residential properties. And a limitation on inventory parking in the rear 30 feet. And I said lot 2442, as that's how it is addressed. I don't think that's the platted lot number, but that is,
By rear, you mean eastern 30 feet, if you were to look at that as being oriented with a front lot to,
yes, but I didn't want to say all eastern because, well, that's going to
No.
be access anyway. So this, yes. Mrs. Purcell's
yeah.
property in here.
That covers both. I think that condition could be clearly listed.
Sounds like you're trying to say no inventory parking within 30 feet of two particular parcels that are external. I don't know how you guys
So
are.
limiting parking in that area, prohibiting inventory only?
No
No
inventory.
inventory.
No inventory
No
parking.
inventory parking
Within 30 feet.
easternmost 30 feet.
Prohibiting inventory parking.
Okay. All right. I think we understand our conditions now. Board members, do we have any final questions or discussion on this? Mr. McAteer, do you have any thoughts?
No, I mean, it's really for the board to weigh whether the conditions are specific to your satisfaction, and you do have that pathway in 138-1202 in the code.
Thank you for apprising us of that. All right. So if we have no other discussion or questions, then we need to start talking about the first of our two motions. So do I have a motion on application FLU 23-06?
Motion for approval
Motion?
with the added conditions, or the conditions that were presented.
Conditions are on the zoning.
Okay, and the zoning.
I would wait till the
Okay.
zoning.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously. Now we'll take up a motion on ZON 23-07. Mr. Craven, you made the motion on the future land use request. Do you want to do the zoning again, or do you want to
Yes.
hand that off to?
Make another motion for approval of zoning case 23-07 with conditions that were listed, based on, also with staff recommendation.
All right.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously. All right. So that takes care of items 4A, 2, and 3. For 4A1, is the applicant ready? I know we
Good
still
morning,
have
Madam Chair. The
proposed-
applicant is online. They have not been sworn in yet.
All right. Okay. I assume we'll,
Swear him in. If you could please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you give today is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
All right. Staff, you may proceed when ready. Oh, we already heard the staff
We heard the
presentation. My
staff
apologies.
presentation, yeah.
We spent a bit of time in the last applications. All right. Applicant, would you please proceed when ready?
Yeah, my name is Don Sharp, 3854 Province Drive, Melbourne, Florida. Thank you all for kicking me to the end. Had a little technical difficulty, but appreciate you guys making some accommodations. I was able to watch the staff recommendation, and I don't really have any other further comments. This is kind of a straightforward, from my side, this is a pretty straightforward rezoning request. But I am here to answer any questions that the board may have. Thank you.
All right. Is there anybody in the room who wishes to speak in support of application ZON 23-10? I see no one. Anyone online just hop in or anything?
No, ma'am.
All right. Anyone wish to speak in opposition to ZON 23-10? I don't see anyone in the room. Anyone online?
Nope.
All right. Board members, do you have any questions for staff or the applicant at this time? All right, seeing none. Applicant, you do have a 5-minute time for presentation. Do you want to present anything else?
No, staff did a fantastic job. I appreciate their work.
Understood. All right, it comes back to the board. So, any final thoughts or discussions? Doesn't look like it, so I'm ready to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve this request based on staff recommendation.
Okay, motion to approve ZON 23-10.
Second.
Cueva, second from Laurie Johnson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion to recommend approval passes unanimously. All right. So now we're moving into item 4B. And so we're going to propose ordinances. And 4B1 is LDR 24-01 accessory dwelling units, and it's my understanding that that has been pulled from the agenda. Is that correct, staff?
Yeah, we're asking that this one be pulled. We're going to be bringing it back at a different time.
Perfect. And then that brings us to 4B.
Yeah, Glenn's going to.
All right.
Glenn Bailey, Planning Division Manager. I believe we wanted to continue that to a date certain in April.
Okay.
The April date of the LPA, whatever that might be.
All right.
I can't remember what it was.
So staff is, and Mr. McAteer, I assume we need to take up a motion to continue.
Yeah, it's some motion to continue to a date certain, so you'll have to renotice.
All right, so application LDR 24-01, staff has requested a continuance to the April meeting of the local planning agency board. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in support of LDR 24-01? I don't see anyone who wishes to speak. Anyone online who wishes to speak in support of LDR 24-01. This is the accessory dwelling unit ordinance amendment.
No changes online.
Okay. Anyone in the room wish to speak in opposition to LDR 24-01? And I see none. Anyone online?
No changes.
All right, and staff, I assume you have nothing else to add? Okay. So it comes back to the board. Staff's request a continuance to April. Board members, any questions? Or then I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to continue the case.
Motion continued by Cuevas, second by Laura Johnson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously. That brings us to item 4B2, LDR 24-02, Development Review Committee Procedures. So staff will be giving the presentation.
Yes. Can I get the presentation brought up? This is a request to amend our land development code. This is related to our Development Review Committee. The Development Review Committee was established in 2018 as part of our major code update. It's defined its composition, powers, duties, meeting requirements. It's comprised of county staff that are subject matter experts from various departments, various disciplines, from planning, zoning, building, environmental engineering, public safety. Currently, they review and act on certain development proposals to ensure compliance with the code and comprehensive plan. They're also the final authority on certain administrative adjustments and waivers. So these are items that wouldn't rise up to be a full variance to the Board of Adjustments. They also provide recommendations on public hearing cases to Board of Adjustments, local planning agency, and then on to the commission. We made some adjustments in October 2023 with our last code update. These are some continuing improvements. The biggest is right now the way the DRC was created is basically by being the final authority and voting on items, they are considered a sunshine body. The intent was not for them to be a sunshine body, and it has caused issues where staff can't collaborate outside of the DRC, and we have issues when we're dealing with customers. Certain staff can't talk to the customers at that same time, so there's been some challenges with that, and so this amendment will clean it up to where the DRC will still operate, just will not be subject to sunshine laws. So we're requesting that the changes throughout the code will change them to a review and analysis body. So they will still have the cases that come before you will still go to the DRC. However, they won't be voting on it. They'll still provide that technical knowledge and discussion with the applicant. The meetings will still be open to the public, and they'll be able to provide that technical review and analysis, which will help staff with their recommendations. Staff will make a recommendation in writing the staff reports that are presented to you, Board of Adjustments, Board of County Commissioner. We're also amending the composition to ensure we have the appropriate subject matter experts. Adjust the meeting requirements so we can have more flexibility and clarity. And again, the meetings will still remain open to the public. We're looking, here's some of the highlights of changes is administrative adjustments, waivers, and vested rights determinations. Administrative adjustments and waivers between 10 and 20% currently go to the DRC. Vested rights go to the DRC. We're changing that authority to the county administrator or designee, which would be the appropriate department director or assistant county administrator, or the county administrator designees for that. Floodplain variances and then waivers from our stormwater manual requirements. Where that authority will move to Public Works is creating a special magistrate process to hear those items. And then in Chapter 142, which is our airport zoning chapter, which variance on those, that will move to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals. Those variances will still require that public hearing. Following the DRC meeting, there was a minor error that we accidentally struck out a section in the vested rights, Chapter 134, Section 134, 160 D3. This section that's struck out that says, as well as all testimony and evidence presented, we ask that the LPA take up that this be added back in, this strike through be removed. So there's a version 2 red line and clean portion of in your packet that clarifies this in there. So again, our recommendation is that these proposed amendments are intended to provide more flexibility and enhance customer service. It's going to allow staff to be able to interact quicker with customers, not be held up by the requirements of the sunshine laws. This was reviewed by internal, external stakeholders. It's consistent with the comprehensive plan. After your packet went out, I also heard back from Forward Pinellas. It's consistent with the countywide plan. The DRC recommends approval, and this would go to the Board of County Commissioners on March 26 for the first of 2 required hearings. And I'll take up any questions you have.
All right. Board members, any questions for staff?
I just want to be clear, you mentioned sunshine, and the way, this is really changing how people interact with each other. It's just not change for the public's information, not change access to public records. It's just how people interact with one another to make things easier.
Yeah, the meetings, we've always intended the DRC meetings for the public attend.
Yep.
We do occasionally have public that attends, and we're not stopping that. You know, it's just, it'll allow for more staff to interact more with each other and collaborate when needed.
Currently, the DRC has, it seems as though the code was kind of drafted with the idea of a deeper bench in mind, more staff, or there would be more people available. That's not the case, and so you have folks who are in a formal motion and vote and recommendation body, much like this one, but yet are also trying to interact with the public, interact with each other in the hallways, and it's all incidental, but it could lead to sunshine law violations that someone could, you know, if they're clever enough, could utilize against the county, and it's simply, and it's not efficient. And so we've worked with legal and staff have worked together to find a way for it to be a more traditional staff environment where they can work together, still have the transparency to the public of, hey, this is what we're doing, but it's an analysis and information gathering body. That information simply passed on, and then you get a staff report from.
Makes sense.
All right. So if I understand it correctly, the sun continues to shine on our DRC as it does on all local governments and zoning departments. It's just we're giving them back the tools to collaborate like so many other local governments in our state, so they can do their job.
It's not a body that is, it's no longer a formal body. It is an information and gallery. It's more of a committee, which was what was originally intended by the name to be, instead of a agency or commission.
Understood. Any other questions for staff?
Just one quick question, and I think this is just part of the clarification for me. So now it's a recommendation body, not an approval body, is that
It won't
correct?
even be a recommendation body. It will be an information and analysis gathering body. That information will be passed on to the author staff member. Could be Mr. Schotterrock, could be Mr. Bailey, depending on what people are working on. And that you will get a staff report from staff, but not from the DRC.
Okay, so.
The information is simply discussed as part of the different DRC members.
Okay, so in this bullet point that says Development Review Committee recommends approval, are they just passing that on to the planning staff, or?
So you talk about how we got to right here. It's kind of an ironic figure eight that we're doing right now, in that we had to follow the old code to change it.
Yep. So right now, the DRC is still in that capacity, so they recommended the approval. If these changes are approved, then at that time, you will see staff recommendation, not DRC recommendation.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Doesn't look like it. Do we have anyone in the room who wishes to speak in support of LDR 24-02? Not seeing any. Do we have anyone online who wishes to speak in support of LDR 24-02?
Nobody online?
All right. Do we have anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to LDR 24-02? Not seeing any in the room. Anyone online?
Still nobody online.
Okay. Staff, any final remarks?
Just to include that one change.
All right.
There was one strike through that.
Strike through that to be removed.
And that's in chapter 134, or section 134-160 sub D, sub D3.
Yes.
All right. And we're adding back in as well as all testimony and evidence presented, so people can speak at the DRC and give PowerPoint presentations, and that can be considered.
That's correct.
Wonderful. All right, board members, any final questions? Don't see any. So at this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I move, okay. I move that we approve case number LDR-24-02, Development Review Committee update, including the addition of the reinstatement of section 134, chapter 134, section 134, and then I lost the rest of the numbers, I'm sorry.
134-160.
160.
D3.
D3.
Yes.
Got it, okay. Including that change. Reinstate as well as all testimony and evidence presented. Do I have, is that it? Okay.
Yeah, that's sufficient.
Okay, we have a motion by Board Member Laurie Johnson. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second by Cueva. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously. That brings us down to item 4B3, LDR 24-03. And this is the Pinellas County Stormwater Manual update.
Kevin McAndrew will present this item to you.
Good morning, board members. Kevin McAndrew, Building and Development Review Services Director. As stated, this is case LDR 2403, and this is a proposed update to the Pinellas County Stormwater Manual. I want to start with some brief context and background. The Board of County Commissioners adopted the Stormwater Manual on February 21st, 2017, and the manual sets forth the technical requirements and standards and regulations for stormwater management within the unincorporated Pinellas County, including both public and private sector projects. The Stormwater Manual was subsequently amended and updated on November 1st, 2021. Since that time in 2021, the Stormwater Manual has still continued to come under question, specifically the ease of use, too restrictive, too burdensome, and not enough flexibility. The focus of this challenge or questioning from certain stakeholders has specifically related to the cost of complying with the current stormwater regulations and bringing greater relief to smaller scale land development projects. And when I reference smaller scale, generally speaking to projects of 1 acre or less. And as it turns out, because of the county almost being entirely developed, many of what is being redeveloped and infill are smaller projects, less than 1 acre. And it was in response to this continued challenging of the Stormwater Manual that the county undertook what's called a peer review. The county retained an outside qualified consultant, VHB. They're a national multidisciplinary engineering firm with a large footprint here in Florida, with familiarity of stormwater regulations not only in Pinellas but within surrounding counties. And VHB, between December 2022 and July 2023, performed this peer review. It was a process that included significant public engagement. There were 2 public meetings. There were online surveys. There were dedicated email to this project that allowed a continual feedback from start to finish. The process included meetings with internal stakeholders, both Public Works and Development Review Services. So it was a collaborative approach to go through this process, which largely looked at comparing Pinellas County Stormwater Manual to neighboring municipalities, including also SWIP-MUD. So this process concluded in 2023, and there was a presentation made to the Board of County Commissioners at a work session in which a suite of recommended enhancements and updates to the stormwater manual were presented. It included some additional new exemptions, expanded flexibility, incentivizing green infrastructure, as well as a whole menu of technical updates. I'm not going to get too granular and get into some of the real specifics. You'll put me to the test if you want to start asking questions on this. But and I'm ready, by the way. But the real highlights of what was the focus of this update was incorporating now what's referred to as a small site exemption, and I had referenced properties for 1 acre or less. Again, this is largely the greatest percentage of site plans and development that we see. This is going to bring significant relief to the smaller scale land development projects. There's details, if you're interested in them, I can go into that. There's another important update for larger size single-family homes. The way the manual, was written, it was one size fit all, so that it allowed a maximum amount of impervious surface, whether you had a 15,000 square foot parcel or a 2 acre parcel in North County. So the manual now made an adjustment for properties over 1 acre, again, to bring a proportionate scale of impervious surface to those larger properties and bringing greater flexibility. The update also includes increasing thresholds for administrative adjustments for larger size properties. The biggest criticism has been placed on what's called pollutant removal. And so by no means this adjustment diminishes the importance of that. In fact, it balanced maintaining the core objectives that are tied to preserving the environment, but it made refinements to bring some relief to not only the small land development projects, but the larger land development projects. It goes on to get into more technical details, where today, because of the value of land, most of our stormwater solutions include a subsurface component. So it's made some refinements to give a greater credit to those types of designs, and again, is going to result in significant cost savings to the development community. In summary, the proposed updates are consistent with the VHB peer review recommendations. I had alluded to earlier and mentioned that the input that's inclusive within this update is from both external stakeholders as well as collaborative review between Public Works and Development Review Services. The update will result, as I've mentioned, relief to small-scale development projects, large lot, single-family residential developments, and greater design flexibility to all projects and construction cost savings. I do want to request a minor amendment as consideration to your vote. We just picked up that within the actual land development code itself, section 15452, which is the Pinellas County Stormwater Manual, the effective date of this, if adopted here, voted here, and then adopted by the BCC, would be April 23rd, 2024. That section that I referenced, 15452, includes the most current date, which is a 2021 date. We want to make sure that if this goes forward, that provision in the code would reflect this April 23rd, 2024 date. So,
And Madam Chair, I would agree with that amendment. It's simply a strike-through of the November date and bringing it either to the date he stated or if the, whatever the final effective date is. But right now it would be, if it stays on schedule, the April 23rd, 2024 schedule. So it would be, other than that, it's non-substantive other than updating the date from November 1st, 2021 to April 23rd, 2024.
Fair enough.
and the Development Review Committee recommends approval, and this would move to the Board of County Commissioners first reading on March 26th, 2024.
All right. Thank you for your presentation. Board members, do you have any questions for staff?
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Member Laurie Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, and obviously there's been significant work put into this revision. I have to admit I didn't get all the way through it, but it seems to be very comprehensive. However, I do have a couple of questions. Considering the current stormwater issues that Pinellas County is facing, do you feel, and let me rephrase that, does this revision ensure that the new requirements will address the growing concern of sea level rise, flooding that we have in more and more neighborhoods around Pinellas County, the aging infrastructure of our stormwater system that exists now, and appropriate oversight of new stormwater systems being put in? I know it seems to me this is favoring developers, those small and larger developments. When you say 1 acre and up, that could be, that could be half of, a huge development that goes in place in North County or something like that. So there's no upper limit. I don't see an upper limit in here on how large the development is. How can we ensure that we're not becoming too flexible, that we're still doing the best possible thing for maintaining our, at least the status quo or better for controlling flooding?
So that was the charge that VHB was given in developing this update, that this was balancing, again, not a degradation of what would ultimately be protection of our natural resources, but bringing a degree of flexibility and update that would bring meaningful relief to the development community. When you begin to start talking about issues of sea level rise, you're going to now begin to blend not only stormwater, but our floodplain ordinance. And that's a whole different discussion. So the best I can respond to that question is that this balance, the ultimate goal of this update was to balance that need to bring some relief, but by no means, like I said, degrade the ultimate goals of stormwater management, preserving the natural resources, and staying consistent with the goals and strategies of the board.
So in just looking at the bigger picture, and I know this is not probably the place to discuss all of that flooding issue and sea level rise, but by providing flexibility, are we not also opening some doors to shortcuts and possible, you say no degradation, but possibly rolling back some of the systems that we have in place, which might not be what the developers like and might be more difficult for them to put in place, but would be in the long term best for the county?
There was, excellent question. There was high sensitivity to not having rollbacks that would bring us back prior to the adoption of the stormwater manual, and that is not the case with this update. In each instance, I didn't get into the details, but in each instance where there has been some relief, by way of example, with the small sites, there is the requirement of a reduction of impervious area compared to existing conditions, and that reduction being dedicated to green infrastructure. So part of this, again, was not just a simple fix. Part of this was carefully thought through that where there was some relief being given, that would be offset by the incorporation of green infrastructure, the reduction of impervious surface. So in each case, there was that balance to make sure, again, it wasn't just one-sided.
Thank you.
All right. Board members, any other questions for staff? All right, seeing none. Is there anyone in the public, in the room, who wishes to speak in support of application LDR 24-03? Seeing none, is there anyone online who wishes to speak in support of LDR 24-03?
No participants online.
All right. Is there anyone in the room who wishes to speak in opposition of LDR 24-03? I'm not seeing any. And is there anyone online who wishes to speak in opposition of LDR 24-03?
No changes online.
Thank you. All right. Staff, do you have any final remarks before we bring it back?
No further comments.
All right. It comes back to the board. Board members, any final questions or discussion before entertaining a motion? I'm not seeing any, so at this point, I will entertain a motion on a recommendation for LDR 24-03.
I make a motion for this one.
All right. So I think I have a motion to recommend approval of LDR 24-03. Does that include the amendment to the language at
154.
Thank you.
52.
154-52?
Updating the effective date.
That would move the effective date from 2021 to, I believe what was proffered was April 24th, the later of April 24th, 2024, or the second.
2024.
We're 23,
April
24.
23rd, 2024.
Right.
The later of that or the second read if it gets continued, right?
Yes.
Is that part of your motion?
Yes, it is.
All right. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Cueva. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously. Staff members, do you have any final business before adjournment? Yeah. Okay. Well, Karen, it's my understanding that this is going to be your last LPA with us before riding off into the sunset of retirement, and it sounds like it's going to be beautiful. So, anyways, I wanted to take and thank you for your service to Pinellas County over all these years, and to this board. So,
Thank you, Karen.
we're going to miss you. All right. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Laurie Johnson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion passes unanimously.
Rehearse that either.
No, we didn't. It's natural.